Greetings, Crusaders. It is I, Marshall Bohemond, once again. And, yeah, the next time someone tries to convince you that the slippery slope is a fallacy, don't listen to them. Don't listen to them. So, right. Where do we begin? With this current, mess that GW's made. So, Eldari Codex, whatever. It's the Eldar Codex. Came out recently. People got their hands on it, right? And, well, there's something to be said about people who say, "Oh, don't complain about the little crack that's formed." You know, when a crack forms in something, it tends to get bigger, and eventually, that crack is going to reach something that you like, and it's going to break it. Now, all the people saying, "Oh, the Custodes retcon doesn't matter," are now suffering from the fact that the same level of incompetent writing has hit Xenos, and it has hit the Eldar. This was brought to my attention because people were talking about Bone Singers. Bone Singers are, the people in the Eldar. They're basically, they're like the constructors. They produce from the stuff of the warp a psychoactive plastic called Wraithbone. They use their, psychically empowered music to manipulate and shape Wraithbone into, tools, weapons, structures, other technology. It is the core technology which the Eldar utilize for just about everything, right? Well, it was brought to my attention, through a Reddit post that, as it currently stands, in the new codex, Wraithbone has been changed from made from the very stuff of the warp itself to various compounds, ores, and minerals. So yeah, this was brought to my attention. I'm like, there's no way they would do that. They would completely undermine the core technology of the Eldar, right? I mean, that's what I thought. And then I actually got the excerpt from the codex itself, which states, "The Wraithbone substance from which each craft world is wrought is a composite material formed of various compounds, ores, and minerals." Yeah. So Games Workshop's general incompetence with writing the lore has now reached the Eldari. They have completely undermined and broken the lore for, like, this is literally the core technology the Eldari utilize, Wraithbone. It's supposed to be, made from the warp. It is the energy of the warp, and it is the the Bone Singers who give it form. Now, there have been some people who've been trying to cope and seethe about it, being all like, "Well, it was always made from physical components," It's like, and that's not true. We have it right here. This is an excerpt from one of the novels, and it describes the process of the creation of Wraithbone. "The song changed, the light coalesced, forming matter. Wraithbone. Ynnari was spellbound by the creation of matter from nothing. The light at the center of the chamber was dimming as more Wraithbone solidified from intangible plasms. The product of the song was luminous, but no more than that. It had crossed the threshold from the might be to the is. Having judged there to be sufficient raw material for their purposes, the Bone Singers changed their tune, picking up speed." Like right there. That is it. The Bone Singers, they bring Wraithbone into existence from the energies of the warp. That is where it comes from. It is not produced physically from physical matter. And this is just the problem with Warhammer 40k lore as it currently stands. Because look, this is the thing when you allow the incompetent writers to just retcon the setting however they see fit. Warhammer 40k had retcons in the past. This is true. I won't deny this. Granted, it also has, elaborations and expansions on past events that are not retcons. But, I mean, your average tourist doesn't understand what a retcon even is. So, confusion in that regard from the ill-informed. But, yes, Warhammer 40k has retcons in the past. The problem was that when they did retcons in the past, it was minor things. It was not things that broke fundamental rules of Warhammer 40k as a setting. Sanguinius having black hair in Horus Rising, just for him to be a blonde in a later book, is not going to break the lore. It can be easily explained with a minor retcon, which it was. But when you change major rules of how a setting works, Adeptus Custodes can only be men, but all of a sudden, they've always had women. Wraithbone is a psychoactive plastic made from the stuff of the warp, but suddenly, it's made from compounds, minerals, blah, blah, blah. Now you have a problem where the people in charge of the setting realize it doesn't matter what we write. It doesn't matter what was written. Now we can just do whatever. And good settings, every good setting, every setting that is relevant in culture uses hard set rules in order to justify the things within the setting. These rules establish the parameters by which the setting can exist. When you don't have these rules, you don't have a setting. And that is the problem with the cracks formed by trying to say that female Custodes can be canon. Because now suddenly, the rules don't matter. Now suddenly, Wraithbone can be something completely different. It can be whatever the given writer wants at the given time. And that means it's nothing. It doesn't matter anymore. It's broken. The setting is broken. Warhammer 40k is broken. The lore now actually doesn't matter because now the writers realize they can just do whatever they want. They can shatter everything. They can replace everything. And this is how a setting dies. This is how a setting begins to rot. And you know what? This isn't even the first time we've seen it. We saw this with Rise of Skywalker, how Rey Palpatine could not learn, but just know all these advanced force powers that require training and dedication and commitment. And everyone was like, oh, it's just a small thing. It doesn't matter. And then what happened in the very next movie? The very fundamentals of faster than light travel and interstellar warfare in Star Wars were shattered. Because guess what? J.J. Abrams realized he could get away with anything. Well, guess what? Rian Johnson realized he could get away with anything. And then by the third movie, nothing mattered anymore. The lore didn't matter. Palpatine can just come back because fuck you, that's why. And that is now happening to Warhammer 40k. Expect more lore changes like this. And, like real talk, like if I'm being completely honest, it's just, it's almost to the point where I'm not even really mad. I'm apathetic. I expect this now. I expect Games Workshop to fumble the ball like this with every major lore update. It's just what I expect now. And and I'm just going to say, for the people who were like, oh, this won't affect my faction, so it's okay. It's just going to affect those Imperial chuds. Well, guess what? Not only has the fundamentals of one of your precious Xenos factions been completely undermined by pointless change, your Ynnari, your Ynnari have now been reduced to a complete footnote in the lore that doesn't matter anymore. Let's read this out. The Ynnari are a small but influential sect led by the so-called Chosen of Ynnari, Yvraine, as the high priestess of an unborn god. Yvraine seeks to bring about the apotheosis of her patron. Prophecy states that this goal will only be achieved with the death of every last Eldar. This has not stopped Yvraine and her Ynnari from attempting to accelerate the process. The increasing extremity of her methods has lost her many erstwhile allies, including such notable figures as Jane Czar and Elrad Ulthran. Many of her Harlequin and Drukhari followers have slunk away from the cause, disenchanted by a lack of reward for their considerable efforts. The Ynnari may be a fringe faction of extremists, note that, but they have disproportionately influenced galactic events. It was their involvement that set the stage for Rabute Gilliman's return, saw Prince Uriel of Eandon raised from the dead, and resulted in the shattering of Craftworld Barrel 10. Though the momentum of their cause has been slowed, they remain an influential, if small, presence among the entirety of Eldari society, from the crystal domes of the craft worlds to the deepest, darkest recesses of the webway. So, how about that? Not only have they retconned Wraithbone, they've retconned the Ynnari. Because remember, in 8th edition, the Ynnari were trying with all their might to avoid the death of every last Eldar, if it meant, empowering Ynnad to kill Slaanesh, right? Well, now they've been retconned to Yvraine is just, this straight up implies, Yvraine is just going around murdering Eldar, trying to accelerate the creation of the birth of Ynnad. Like, that's what this is implying, that she's going around killing Eldar. Like, because, remember, it can only be achieved with the death of every last Eldari. This has not stopped Yvraine and her Ynnari from attempting to accelerate the process. That is very plain text. Accelerate the process. They've gone from in one book trying to save the Eldar race so they have a future to let's just kill all the Eldar and whatever. Like, because I guess character motivation doesn't matter either now. And that and the fact that, it's funnily enough now, it's literally, it's just a footnote, like this is just a footnote, like, oh, hey, her job was to bring a Primarch back and fade into the background, forever forgotten as a religious extremist trying to kill her, genocide her entire people, because they're like a, an apocalypse cult now, I guess. Games Workshop, you know what? Last time I yelled at you about this, I told you to fix your shit. You know what? I'm just going to end this video on this note. Just keep doing it. Keep making it worse. See where that gets you. Seriously, see where that gets you when everything you've built up is gone and everything that made the world matter is nonsense. Like, see where it got Disney with Star Wars. See where it's got D&D. See where it's got so many other settings that are now ruined. But you know what? By all means, keep it up. I will still continue to enjoy Warhammer. I will never give you a dime. I'll stick with the things that were good while it lasted. But you're done, Games Workshop. And that is basically what it boils down to. And I, for one, can't wait for Gundam Assemble to come out later this year. So, on that note, I'm going to end the video. Thank you all for watching. This has been Marshall Beaumont. I hope you all have a good evening. And take care, everyone. Later.